The Pittsburgh Penguins go head to head with the Edmonton Oilers. It's a showdown between Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. It all happens right now on this episode of Penguins Postgame. Let's get started. Here we go with the Oilers and the Pens. Let's roll. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, shoot, he scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Penguins postgame. Welcome to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. I am your host, Scott McGregor. Thanking you for joining us for another episode of Penguins postgame. We're going to be doing our segments within the 15-minute time slot. We're going to get our first segment started here in 15 minutes as I'll provide some of my opening thought. And of course, as always, I'll say my opening thoughts. And of course, I will provide you with, in this opening segment, I'll provide you with the head coaches, starting goaltenders. You know the drill. So let's jump right into those starting netminders down at Rogers Place, the home of the Edmonton Oilers. First of all, we want to extend our congratulations to the man who was inducted into the Oilers Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, I forgot to make the note of who that was. But for the Oilers, we want to congratulate the Oilers Hall of Fame new member. Welcome to the Oilers Hall of Fame. And that was a great night for the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to get into it all in just a little bit. Seeing as we are going to do these on time limit, if you're watching on YouTube, of course, this video might not end up on YouTube, but if you're watching on YouTube, you will notice that we have a timer here. We're using the Zoom area. We're using the Zoom link here. So we have a timer there. Right about the top of the screen where the Oilers logo is, right in between me. No, it's on that side. Sorry about that. The Penguins logo is on this side of me. But anywho, it was a good game. A good game for the rookie Joel Blomqvist. It was a good game for the rookie Joel Blomqvist. I loved what I saw from the rookie. He got the start for the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game as part of the back-to-back for head coach of the Penguins, Mike Sullivan. Backing up Joel Blomqvist was the man who got the start in last night's game against the Vancouver Canucks, which we will talk about later in this program. Get you ready for that show, because I will be back with you for another Penguins post-game show after we're done with this show to do the Penguins and the Canucks. Kind of like double trouble came a little early than expected, eh? Well, we're doing two hockey shows, but two different recaps from two different nights. Anyways, Mike Sullivan would go with the goaltending tandem of number 30, Joel Blomqvist, in at the starter, and number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic in at backup. So again, that's Alex Nedeljkovic. There we go. Alex Nedeljkovic with the backup role in this game. They would face Chris Knobloch. I'll just say Chris K for the Edmonton Oilers. Sorry if I pronounced the head coach name wrong. But they would go with the goalie tandem, as they would have number 30, Calvin Pickard, backup number 74, Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner would get Joel Blomqvist for this game. And that would be the goaltending tandem for Chris Knobloch and Mike Sullivan. All right. We got some time here, so I'll bring up some of my opening thoughts. And first of all, I thought it was a really nice game right from the get-go by Joel Blomqvist. I thought it was a really nice game by Joel Blomqvist on Friday night. Yes, the Penguins lost 4-0, which we'll get to in a moment. But my goodness me, this goaltender in rookie Joel Blomqvist, this was only his fifth straight start. This was only his fifth start in his NHL career. This was only his fifth start in his NHL career. And even though he lost this game, well, technically the Penguins lost the game as a team, but even though he was credited with the loss, he was terrific. And I don't want to quote I don't want to I don't want to quote I don't want to quote Mike Sullivan on this, but in listening to Mike Sullivan's post-game media availability before we came on the air, Mike Sullivan said on Friday after the game, he said that he thought Joel played terrific. And Joel was definitely terrific. He stood on his head all game long. Yes, he gave up a goal on the power play. Yes, he gave up a goal or two on or three at even strength. Whatever it was, we'll talk about it in a little bit. But the dude stood on his head, ready to rock and roll. And got to give credit where credit is due. And that credit is to none other than Stuart Skinner. All right. So those are some of my opening thoughts here. We'll wrap it all up by letting you guys know when this game was going down. In the time zone, we have the Eastern Time, the Central Time, the Pacific Time, in the UK, and in France. And this game started at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. It was 2 a.m. in the UK and 3 a.m. in France when this game got going. All right, got a little bit of time left there. So let's go ahead and in the opening of this, let's go ahead and reveal to you the Pittsburgh Penguins and Edmonton Oilers officials for this hockey game. We still have a little bit of time left here on our first segment. So, the officials for this game, the referees were Wes McCauley and Brandon Schrader, excuse me. Shandor Alfonso and B. Van Mills were the linesmen. B. Van Mills were your linesmen with Shandor Alfonso. All right. So your linesmen were Shandor Alfonso and B. Van Mills. Also, the referees were Wes McCauley and Brandon Schrader. All right. Down to 5 minutes left in our opening segment. So we'll wrap it up with the scratches for this game. For the Oilers, no Travis Dermott. And for the Penguins, no Ryan Shea, no Valtteri Pustinen, or in this case, no VP, and no Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry, prior to the game in Edmonton, we found out had been sent down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton, the Penguins AHL affiliate team. And we also found out last night during the Canucks game that he was starting for Wilkes-Barre Scranton and appeared to be getting his job done. So, according to what Mike Sullivan had said on the Tristan Jarry front, the idea was for Tristan Jarry to try to get his game back. So, yeah, Tristan Jarry's got to find his game. All right. Breaking it all down. Game. We'll break it all down. The game itself. Breaking it all down. We're down to like 4 minutes left in the opening segment of this, but we're breaking it all down from period by period, from the second period to the third period, because nothing happened in the first period of this game between the Oilers and the Penguins. We'll break it all down when Penguins post-game continues. No penalties and no goals to speak of in the first period of this game. Was that the case in Vancouver the next night? You'll find those answers out on Penguins versus Canucks, which is coming up when we get out of here with the Oilers and the Pens. But right now, our focus continues to be on the Oilers and the Pens. When we return, how long were the Oilers going to keep the Penguins scoreless And off the board, how many penalties were called in this game and how many to a side? We'll find that all out in our period by period summary coming up in just a matter of moments. So don't you dare go anywhere. The Penguins playing the Oilers on Friday night in Edmonton. Unfortunately, by the time you're listening to this and the time you're listening to the Canuck recap, the Penguins lose outright on their Western Canada trip as they fall in all of the games to the Canadian teams. They fall 6-3 to the Winnipeg Jets last Sunday. They fell 6-3 to the Winnipeg Jets on Sunday, the 20th of October. This past Tuesday, on the 22nd of October, they fell in overtime to the Calgary Flames. Overtime, actually, no, not overtime. They fell in a shootout to the Calgary Flames, 4-3. And at the time we are recording this one, the Penguins fell on Friday night to the Edmonton Oilers, 4-0. They were shut out. For the second time this season, again, the final score, Edmonton 4, Pittsburgh 0. And the final score of the game we are going to talk about once we get out of here with the Oilers. Vancouver 4, Pittsburgh 3. We'll talk about it all on Canucks versus Penguins in the next episode of Penguins Postgame. But Penguins Postgame rolls on with the Oilers and the Pens as we break down what went down at Rogers Place in a matter of moments with the period by period summary coming up next. We'll be right back.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Penguins at Oilers. Crosby versus McDavid. Welcome back to Penguins Postgame, everybody. My name is Scott McGregor. We welcome everyone back and would love to keep you all entertained here. Another 15-minute segment is about to begin here as we roll on with this program here. On this portion of the show, we get down to the nitty-gritty we get down to the nitty-gritty. It is time for the period-by-period summary of the Oilers versus the Penguins. It should be noted that the Penguins came into this game on Friday night looking for their first victory against the Oilers since December of 2019, and they had 19 points in their last 25 games against the Oilers, dating back to December of 2007. In this game, we're going to fast forward through the first 20 minutes because nothing happened, no goals, no penalties to speak of. So after 20 minutes, the Penguins and the Oilers are square at 0. But the shots, however, which ended up at 27 to 50, 50 to 27, excuse me, in favor of the Oilers. The shots on goal after the first 20 minutes, Edmonton with 19, Pittsburgh with 5, and Joel Blomqvist stopped all 19 of those shots from the Oilers in the first 20 minutes. He then stopped quite a couple of the shots from Edmonton, but 2 of them went in the back of the net. And we're about to get to those right now. So here we go. Second period action, second 20 minutes. Let's start with the penalties. Actually, let's go to the goals and then we'll go to the penalties. Because one penalty was called in the second period, and this one happens on an unsuccessful challenge from Mike Sullivan, one that I thought he absolutely did not need to call. So here's how it all went down. First, Leon Draisaitl. First, it's Leon Draisaitl breaking the ice and giving the Oilers a 1-0 lead with his 4th goal of the season, assisted by Victor Adverson, his first of the season, first of the night as well. Victor Adverson had 3 assists in this game tonight. In this game, I should say Victor Adverson, Victor A, he had 3 assists in this game. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. His first came on the Draisaitl goal, which was also assisted by number 2, Evan Bouchard. His second assist of the season. Time of the goal, 13 minutes into the second period. And that would give Edmonton a 1-0 lead after a lot of work as Leon Draisaitl breaks the ice. Speaking of breaking the ice, Evan Bouchard gets Edmonton their second goal of the game and his second goal of the season. This is the goal that was challenged and resulted in the only penalty given out in the second period. It resulted in a delay of game penalty served by Michael Bunting at 17 minutes and 35 seconds into the second period. Evan Bouchard's goal would count, but Mike Sullivan wanted to challenge for offside. It was unsuccessful. Bunting would be guilty of serving the penalty. for delay of game. And Evan Bouchard's second goal of the season would count as Victor Adverton, Victor A, picks up his second assist of the season and second of the night, along with number 92, Vasily P, VP for the Edmonton Oilers, picking up his first of the night and first of the season. So that's his first point as an Edmonton Oiler and first assist of the season. All right, moving along. Bunting gets the penalty. The goal for Evan Bouchard counts. And after 40 minutes, the Oilers are ahead with a 2-goal lead. Shot total after 40 minutes, just by the period. For the Oilers, 20 shots on goal. For the Penguins, 12 shots on goal. The final shots on goal tally before we wrap this segment up, as we move on to the regulation time period. And this one got started early. Early on, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, his first goal of the season, makes it 3-0 Edmonton over Pittsburgh, assisted by Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman, his first assist of the season. Matthias Ekholm had the game-ending goal that we're going to get to in a moment. But Matthias Ekholm picks up his fourth assist of the season on the Nugent-Hopkins goal. Just 16 on the Nugent-Hopkins goal. On the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal. He picks up his fourth assist of the season, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins picks up his first goal of the season. At 16 seconds in. Later in the game, first of all, we got to go to penalties here. And the first penalty that the Penguins would take, that belongs to number 71, Evgeny Malkin. Malkin's penalty is 2 minutes for interference at 5 minutes and 22 seconds in. During that penalty, Matthias Ekholm picks up his first goal of the season and first goal on the power play, assisted by Victor A. His third assist of the game, third assist of the season. Time of the goal, 7 minutes. That's a power play goal for Edmonton, a PPG for EDM. That's the short form for Edmonton, EDM. So a PPG for EDM. And that makes it 4-0 Edmonton. Later in the period, Edmonton's Darnell Nurse is called 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. Again, this would be served by Corey Perry, number 90 of the Edmonton Oilers. He serves the Darnell Nurse unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. at 14 minutes and 41 seconds. Also, Darnell Nurse and Marcus Pettersson get 5 minutes for fighting at this time. So Marcus Pettersson and Darnell Nurse get 5 minutes each for fighting. Corey Perry, though, serves Darnell Nurse's 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike conduct. All those penalties at 14 minutes and 41 seconds. Penguins get one final opportunity on the power play, and this one is an opportunity caused by this penalty to the Oilers captain, number 97, Connor McDavid. He will go 2 minutes for slashing. Time of the penalty to number 97, which was a slashing penalty. Time of the penalty to Connor McDavid, number 97, 18 minutes, 49 seconds. In the end, the Oilers cruise to a 4-0 victory behind excellent goaltending from Stuart Skinner, stopping all 27 shots the Penguins threw at him. And got to give some credit to Joel Blomqvist as well. So there you have it. We'll get to what happened in Vancouver in our Vancouver recap. But there you have it. Your period by period summary for Oilers versus Pens, as the Oilers cruise to a 4-0, victory over the Penguins. And before we go, for this segment, your final shots on goal tally that tallied 50 shots on goal for the Oilers, 27 shots on goal for the Penguins. For the Penguins, they finished with 10 shots on goal in the third, and the Oilers finished with 11 shots on goal. The remaining game stats when we continue on Penguins post-game, including our 3 stars of the game, the shake of the game. We're not going to do introductions for that, but both of those segments coming up next on Penguins post-game, Penguins and the Oilers, when we return. Then after a 30-second timeout, we will wrap it up with setting up our stage for the Oilers and Penguins next meeting, which will be in Pittsburgh on January 8th, 2025. We will set that up for you and set up the Oilers and the Penguins next 5 games if we have time. If not, we will definitely be setting that up for you for the Penguins when we do Penguins versus Canucks. So make sure you stick around for that. More on Penguins postgame right after this. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Welcome back to Penguins Postgame. My name is Scott McGregor. As of right now, at the time of our recording, the Penguins have played the Vancouver Canucks. And unfortunately, they dropped 4-3 in regulation time. So we will get into all of that coming up a little bit later. But this is the continuation of Game 9 of 82, Broadcast 9 of 82 for the 2024-2025 regular season, as the Oilers outshoot the Penguins 50-27 to also shut out the Penguins 4-0. My name is Scott McGregor. This is Penguins Postgame here on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, and streaming later on the Ice and Behind the Benches. And we are recapping Friday night's contest between the Penguins and the Oilers in 15 minutes or less, is what we're going to be doing with our segments. It is time for your 3 stars of the game. Before we get there, however, let's go over the final game stats of this game. We went over the shots on goal, so just to reiterate them, in case you missed it before the break. The Penguins were outshot by the Oilers 50-27 in a game that had 47 faceoffs. The Penguins won 42.6% of the faceoffs, winning 20 of 47. The Edmonton Oilers won 57.4% of the faceoffs, winning 27 out of 47 of the faceoffs. The Edmonton Oilers penalty kill a perfect 2 for 2 against the Penguins in this contest on Friday night. Their power play, just like the Penguins penalty kill, 1 for 2. They had 50% good of the power play, connecting on one of their 2 opportunities. The Penguins' power play, meanwhile, 0 for 2 on the evening. Both teams spent 9 minutes each in the penalty box. The Penguins finished the game with 21 hits, 19 blocked shots, 14 giveaways, and 6 takeaways. Meanwhile, the Oilers finished with 11 hits, 17 blocked shots, 11 giveaways, and 7 takeaways. So both teams not doing too shabby with the giveaways. The block shots looked almost even. The shots were never even, as the Oilers outshot the Penguins 50-27. They outshot them by 23 shots. So the Penguins were outshot by the Oilers by 23 shots. Meanwhile, Pitt's not even either, as the Penguins win that battle 21-11. But now it's time for the play of the game. Before we get to our 3 stars of the game. And my play of the game is going to go to I'm going to give it to Ryan Nugent Hopkins. I'm going to give it to Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Really nice goal and really nice tone setter in that third period, putting the Penguins on their heels, letting them know, just so you know, you can't win if you can't score. And that was a problem for the Penguins all night long on Friday night. So we will see what happens in Pittsburgh in a few nights time. And of course, you got to wait till we get past the new year. But now the Penguins have played 10 games, and we're going to get to game 10 when we are done with this one here. My play of the game is going to Ryan Nugent Hopkins on his first goal of the season. And it was the tone setter, I believe, in the third period. Penguins can't win if they can't score. They were absolutely terrible. They weren't good enough. But Joel Blomqvist was terrific. And I feel like he deserved to be that third star. Speaking of that, it's time now for your 3 stars of the game. And if you listen to it on the Penguins Radio Network, they're brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not brought to you by any sponsors at this time, but if we were brought to you by your neighborhood Pittsburgh Ford stores in Pittsburgh, we would be saying exactly what the Penguins Radio Network says, that Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And for 45 years, as Mike Lang would say, Ford F-150 is the official vehicle is the official truck, I should say, of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But anyways, Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored though by anybody at this time. So here we go with our third star. With that out of the way. And our third star is the goaltender of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Number 30, Joel Blomqvist, gave up 4 goals against, including a goal on the power play. Ends the game with a save percentage of .920. Save percentage of 1,000 for Stuart Skinner, as he is your second star. And the first star, with no goals, 3 assists, and 3 points, it's Victor Advertson. It's Victor Advertson. It's Victor A. Victor A. Victor A. is your first star. Victor Advertson. Victor Advertson, Stuart Skinner, and Joel Blomqvist Joe Bloomquist. There we go. I think that might work out there. I know there's not two O's in Bloomquist's name, but I apologize if I pronounce it wrong. So there you have it, your 3 stars, your play of the game, and your game stats for this one. We are down to 5 minutes to go into the segment. So we are going to save the shake of the game and game pucks of the game for the next segment. And this is your reminder to keep it tuned here to Sports for Beginners for Penguins and Canucks. The Penguins and Canucks are coming up next on Penguins postgame, and they are coming up next on Sports for Beginners. Part of Penguins Wednesday hockey. And you know what also is coming up? You know what also is coming up? Yeah, that's right. It's Buffalo Bills football. Bills versus Seahawks. The Bills taking on the Seahawks. I will be in the studio to bring you that game after it's gone final. Game time is 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time today. So be sure, Bills Mafia, you check in with me for the football game. Right after the game, we'll recap the game and get you ready for Dolphins Bills next week on Bills postgame. Before we get to the Bills and the Seahawks, we've got time, so we've got to get to Penguins and Canucks. That's coming up after this next break, which is 30 seconds, and a word from our friends that are making our day brighter, one song at a time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to check out all the action in the 4 shows that were happening on Sienna T Radio this week on this Saturday, but there's always the triple play next Saturday on November the 1st. November the 2nd, excuse me. That's the Saturday, excuse me, because the Friday is November the 1st. And speaking of November the 1st, the Song Bank is back on November 1st. So looking forward to that. Penguins have 3 more games in the month of October. We'll break it all down for you on Penguins and Canucks. And of course here on Penguins and Oilers. All coming up in 30 seconds right after this word from our friend at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. We're back in 30 seconds after that word from our good buddy Nick Blazewicz and the radio station that is making our day brighter, one song at a time. What's next for the Penguins? What's next for the Oilers? The shake of the game and the game pucks of the game next on Penguins postgame when we continue in 30 seconds. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame, Penguins, and welcome back to the Penguins postgame show, Penguins and Oilers. Before we get down to the shake of the game, I thought it only fair to start off with what's next for the teams. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we will not be including the game they just played on Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks. We will be including the games. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. So up next, it was a back-to-back. So up next for the Penguins, it's the Vancouver Canucks to kick off their next 5 games. Then they would go head-to-head with the Minnesota Wild on Tuesday night, which is coming up. Then the Anaheim Ducks are in town on Thursday evening for Halloween night in the Burgh. Then we have Montreal in town for a showdown with the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal looking forward to trying to avoid another loss to Pittsburgh. And the New York Islanders are also coming up next. So that's the Vancouver was first, Minnesota second, Anaheim third, Montreal 4. The Islanders would be part of the next 5 for the Penguins there, as that's a showdown on November the 5th, a Tuesday night in Long Island. So at that point in time, the Penguins will be facing the Vancouver Canucks, Minnesota Wild, Anaheim Ducks, Montreal Canadiens, and the New York Islanders. As for their next 5, after the Vancouver Canucks, it's Minnesota, Anaheim, Montreal, at the Islanders, and at the Carolina Hurricanes. That ought to be a good one on Thursday. That's part of a back-to-back, which will feature the Carolina Hurricanes on Thursday, and then the Washington Capitals from the nation's capital of the United States on Friday, the next night. All right. As for the Edmonton Oilers, they did not play on Saturday, so their next 5 are the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit on Sunday. That's today. Coverage starts at 6 o'clock Eastern. It's a 6 o'clock game for the Oilers against the Red Wings. They are in Columbus on Monday as part of a back-to-back. Game time is 7 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Eastern in Nashville. They'll play against Nashville. Then they'll play against Calgary, another Battle of Alberta. And then they are home to the New Jersey Devils, at Detroit, at Columbus, at the Predators, and then at the Calgary Flames up next for the Oilers. All right. Back to Pittsburgh and back to the 4-0 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. Due to time constraints, we are going to keep this to one player for each team. And reminder that you can get in on the action in our Discord server. Link will be in the description of future Penguin post-game episodes. Not these 2 episodes, but the future ones. You can get in on the action by going to Penguins post-game show interactions on the Sports for Beginners Discord server, or send us an email at Sports for Beginners podcast 8231 at gmail.com. Once again, that's Sports for Beginners podcast 8231 at gmail.com. All right. With that being said, for this game, hit the recap thing. I gotta stop doing that there. I'm doing it on my phone. I'm doing the look at on my phone here, so you can't really see it. I'm not gonna be able to, I am not sharing my screen here. But you know what? That's okay. It's completely okay. It's completely okay. So with that all being said, take of the game, we would normally bring you our introduction. We're not going to do that for the remainder of this season. Same as we would probably do that for we would do that, excuse me, for the 3 stars of the game, but that's not going to be happening. So with that all being said, let's get into it. So the game puck of the game for the Penguins is going to go to Joel Blomqvist. Joel did pretty well in this game, stopped 46 of 50 shots he faced, gave up 4 goals, 3 at even strength, and 1 on the power play. Played 59 minutes and 56 seconds. The shake of the game is going to go to, it's a pick-me-up one, and that's going to go to Lars Eller. So Lars Eller is getting the shake of the game pick-me-up. And we are also going to give the game puck of the game. It's not a pick-me-up, but it's the game puck of the game we're going to give it to the rookie goaltender, Joel Blomqvist, who I thought was outstanding, and he was terrific in this game, in this start. He was terrific. I'd expect until Tristan Jarry comes back, it would be Nedeljkovic and Blomqvist trading spots, fighting for that number one goalie spot. But moving right along, for the Edmonton Oilers, the game puck of the game is going to go to Stuart Skinner. Excellent in goal on Friday night. 27 stops on 27 shots. On 27 shots, not shops. He made 27 saves on 27 shots. Played the whole 60 minutes for a save percentage of 1,000. He was perfect all night long. And we're going to give the shake of the game. We're going to give the shake of the game to Evan Bouchard, 1 assist, 1 goal, plus 2 points. Was on the ice for 24 shifts, played 21 minutes and 53 seconds. Had a shot on goal, his only shot on goal that went in the back of the net. 3 blocks and a takeaway. Evan Bouchard is getting our game puck of the game. Sorry, game puck of the game is going to Stuart Skinner. Evan Bouchard is getting the shake of the game. And that segment, the shake of the game, which is our player of the game segment, is inspired by the Milkshake Factory ad from former Pittsburgh Penguin player, number 59, Jake Gensel. Jake Gensel is no longer a Pittsburgh Penguin, but the Milkshake Factory, which is the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins, would like to offer fans the same deal, this time with half off Rusty Shake for Brian Rust. Every time Brian Rust scores a goal, he scored a goal in the game against Vancouver, and that is where we are going to be heading now that the dust has settled for Oilers and Pens. They'll do it all again in Pittsburgh at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on January 9th, 2025. Looking forward to bringing you that matchup and looking forward to a better matchup for the Penguins and the Oilers. Hopefully a better showing from the Penguins when they play the Oilers. We're hoping for a better showing from the Penguins and the Oilers. Well, a better showing on Pittsburgh's part at that point in time. The Penguins will play before the year is up. They will play once again. They will play the Vancouver Canucks. That's on November the 27th. So that's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one to see. Speaking of the Vancouver Canucks, we are going to bring that to you next on Penguins post game. But ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this episode of Penguins post game. Penguins and the Oilers. We'll have another edition of that following Penguins and Oilers from Pittsburgh in 2025. But right now, our focus is going to turn to Pittsburgh and Vancouver to put a bow on this, as we put a bow on this one between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Edmonton Oilers. Canucks, Penguins, coming up next. But that is going to do it for this episode of Penguins and Oilers here on Penguins Postgame. The Penguins have now played 10 games in the 82-game season. And you know what that means? Not very many games left to go. They have now played in 10 games out of 82 games. So 82 take away 10. How many more games do we got? We have 72 games left to play in the 82-game season, which means 72 more games to broadcast here on Penguins Postgame. Penguins and Canucks from Rogers Arena coming up next on Penguins Postgame. But as for the Oilers and the Penguins, my name is Scott McGregor, saying that you've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. And as we always remind you, love one another. Penguins fall to the Oilers 4-0. Stuart Skinner shuts out the Penguins. And he did so in front of 18,347 fans in attendance. 18,347 fans in attendance at Rogers Place. Stuart Skinner and the Oilers shut out the Penguins 4-0. My name is Scott McGregor. This has been a presentation of Penguins Postgame. And we look forward to catching up with you again next time on Penguins Postgame. We'll see you next time right here on Penguins Postgame. See you later, everybody. Pens and Canucks coming up next. Pens and Canucks coming up next. So don't you dare go anywhere on that front. That's it for Oilers and Penguins. That's it for Oilers and Penguins. We'll talk to you again next time. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Thank you so much for checking in to Penguins postgame this season, Penguins fans. Your host of the Sports for Beginners podcast, Scott McGregor. here. I just wanted to let you guys know that it brings me great joy to bring you a show like the one we brought you last year, and it brings me even more joy with everything that has come out of it as well, as we try to navigate through quite a year with milestone after milestone in the month of October and the month of September. As mentioned, again, my name is Scott McGregor, but if you have any questions, any concerns, any content you want aired on the program, please send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 at gmail.com. Once again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 at gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast and for listening to this episode of Penguins Postgame. We will see you next time right here on Sports for Beginners. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.